أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Here's my thing. Once you understand about marginalization of Black American Muslims and convert community, how that's a multi-dimensional system, a psychological system, a moral psychology, a colonial type of relationship between the Black American Muslim community and the larger immigrant American community. There are a lot of issues there. Okay, so let's put that to the side for a second. But so once you understand that for Black American Muslims, our whole existence as a Muslim people really is kind of in a controlled environment where there's moral blackmail in the way that, like, there are only certain, like, masjid-worthy, quote-unquote Islamic issues that we can even engage in any kind of public discourse. And really, there's no public discourse, not in the way that we have in our, regular American society. If there's issues, you get the pros, the cons, you get the Democrats, the Republicans, you get the liberals, conservatives. You hear everybody's view on the issue. But when it comes to, Black American Muslims and the convert community, but specifically the Black American Sunni Muslim, let's start with the Sunni Muslim, then there's almost like this a civilizational neglect, like a civilizational non-existence. Okay, give you an example. Okay, we know as regular, educated, researching, Americans, we know that Black Americans are disadvantaged on multiple levels, many of which is not of their own doing. Yes, there are certain things that go on in their own communities that they are responsible for, but there's a whole bunch of factors that support the behavior that we criticize blacks about. Like, there's a whole ensemble of a whole ensemble of programmed and measured dysfunction that's fueled and funded. Just the amount of money that liquor makes, liquor stores and blunt rappers making the Black community is like astounding. Like, it all contributes to the behavior that leads to a lot of the dysfunction. So we know that also, right? And people study that and talk about that. But when it comes to Black American Muslims, see, now there's no advocacy there. There's no putting together. The fact that this Muslim population has to deal with unemployment, the disparity in housing, home ownership, banking, lending, problems, homes, so on. If I have to convince you of that, then you don't even need to be in this conversation. Just cut me off. So if you already know that, so look at that. Then you look at Islam, okay? Because for converts, Islam is a significant part of their life. That is a significant, real, life-changing, foundational part of who they are. So anything else that they're dealing with as people, I'm talking about Black American Muslims now, well, the Islam still factors in one way or another. whether it's how you understand Islam, how are you applying Islam, has Islam worked for you in your life, have you had a good experience being Muslim, did you have a community, did you have a bad marriage in Islam, did you go from sect to sect of different ideologies as a Muslim, all these things factor in to their life. So you got that, the Muslim side, then you got the historical side, descendants of slaves, and the racism, and the marginalization that goes on with that. That's like, okay, but then you have the Islamic side, and there's racism there too, and there's marginalization there too in the Muslim side, in the Muslim life that this black Muslim has. There's things about the splinter. There's things like the dozen or so or more multiple spheres of foreign influence, foreign ideological influence. So you might have people living in the same neighborhood and dealing with the same socioeconomic conditions and the crime and the bigotry and all that in the same neighborhood, but out of that Muslim group, which is only a small number we're talking about, it's like any good neighborhood, except maybe on some of the larger cities like Philly, maybe in New York, Brooklyn. But I'm talking about America in general. So you'll have the same socioeconomic group of black Muslim converts. Now, regardless what their ideology is, whether they're Sufi, whether they're Salafi, whether they're this Tariqa, whether they're Ahl Sunnah, whether they're Ash'ari, no matter what you want to call them, still at the end of the day, they still have basically the same reality that everybody else has in that same neighborhood. You don't see no special Muslim, oh wow, that's a Muslim neighborhood over here, oh, everything's different. No, it's not like that. We're all stuck in with everything else. That's the reality. So my thing is this, and it's hard to make the point because we only started to talk about quote-unquote black Muslim issues out loud maybe 5 years ago, and wasn't even talking that much. I mean, when I first wrote an article about racial politics in Muslim America, that was 2002, and we started talking about racism then within Muslim America, man, people did not want to hear that. That was a taboo topic then. Okay, so we're very, very late in the race. Okay, like I said before, the reality of black American Muslims is that they're caught up in the same socioeconomic conditions of other blacks. Same shit going on, okay? But they're Muslim. But within Islam, there are issues going on. Number one, okay? We got the foreign spheres of Muslim influence, and none of them has proved to be the solution to the inner city condition. No, none of them. You ain't see the Salafis really came in and they, subhanAllah, they developed a whole new way of life in this neighborhood, and the influences, no, that didn't happen. Didn't happen with none of the Sufi groups, didn't happen with none of the African groups. No, it didn't happen. And that's not, I'm not putting down nobody's group. I'm just saying that at some point you have to assess your reality. Sometimes you have to, at some point you got to stop and say, hold on, what's going on? Now, if you're not following me in this conversation, cut it off. Shut me, turn the page, man. Because I can break down the how, and I can show you how the situation came about. But if I have to convince you that there are no residual traumatic dysfunction issues that came out of the way that Islam was thrust on black Americans, and the things that happened in terms of foreign influence, in terms of the marginalization, in terms of the teaching that we would never be able to have enough knowledge to know how to handle our own situations, that we're always going to be dependent upon somebody else who got more knowledge abroad, to the faulty fatwas that people acted on, and lived on, whether they broke up their family, whether they ruined the relationship with their parents, because they read a two-paragraph fatwa about Thanksgiving. And now, fast forward, the same scholars that were putting this stuff on us, and the same people who were bringing that to us, like, they're not here to pick up the pieces. So if you don't understand that, then you just need to catch up. Okay? So take these factors into consideration. The socioeconomic condition of Black Americans, and Muslims are seeing every part of that, whether it's divorce, whether it's adultery, whether it's drug abuse, whether it's depression, whether it's abortion, whether it's homelessness. We're seeing every part of the Black experience, Muslim or not. Okay, so take that. You got that. Now turn to the Muslim part, right? So the ideal is that Islam is to help. You're supposed to be better as a Muslim. Islam has a solution, and so what they say is that Black Muslims. Okay, first of all, y'all don't know enough. You don't got enough knowledge, and that's no. But these are the things that they give us to change. Y'all don't know enough. Okay, you know enough, but you need to double check. Or you know enough, but you don't know the way that we say you should know. Problem there. Or you think you know more than us, there's a problem there. Or you think that you have an idea of how to use the Sharia in a way that's totally Islamic, totally proper, totally fit for the time, but it's not the way that somebody who came from overseas might want to use it in this country. Because we know the terrain in a different way. The relationship that Black American Muslims have with the land is different with somebody who maybe only got here 20 years ago. Come on. We're talking generations here. Generations of narration, of connection, of historical experiences, shared experiences, struggle. That's a whole different thing. I'm not saying better or worse. I'm saying it's specific unto itself. So knowing all that, wouldn't it make sense for us to be studying where is the gap? Where is the fissure? Where's the cracks did it slip through? Did Islam slip through? Why are we losing the kids? Like the process, there's a process of this going on. There's a process of marginalization. There's a process of where the message is coming from. Who's giving us the message? We didn't got the feminists came in, we pushed them back, but we waited too long. See, we wait too long before we counter-argue some of the messages that's coming into our community from Muslims, what they call mainstream Muslims, or the acceptable messages about how we view our country. What's the priority? How in the hell is fighting Islamophobia is going to be a priority for Black American Muslims who live in the city, who've been had relationship with non-Muslims, who've been know how to navigate through America as a Muslim? We didn't even know about Islamophobia coming up. There was no such thing. Like me, you like me. Don't like me, you don't like me. Bismillah. Maybe you're neutral. Who the hell cares? So that's a whole national campaign priority that was like slapped on us, and Black Muslims, since we are civilizationally irrelevant, who cares? But y'all issues are gonna be the issues we tell you. Okay, now, all right, all jokes aside, that shit then tore us up. That's just one thing. My thing as an imam, and I'm going to have to explain this again and again and again, because it's hard to break down. My thing is knowing our condition, knowing our socioeconomic condition as Black Americans, knowing that, the neighborhood, the whole thing. If you don't know, research. Knowing that, and knowing we're Muslims, and knowing within Islam, there should be some kind of solution. There should be some kind of thought process. Wait a minute, how can Islam, what can, and it has to be beyond, well, if everybody just obeyed the law, but no, you just can't take Islam and slap it onto a society and not consider people's condition, what they're dealing with, the way that you're presenting your program, without considering none of that, and say, oh, you can't do that. That's just crazy. That's just the kind of crazy stuff that we live in. Man, it make you want to curse. Cause that's some straight bullshit. We go for bullshit in Islam that we would never go through in general society. At least we get to hear the other side. We don't have no one message in America. No. We don't have the same enemy. We say don't like this person. What? No, that's how we live as Muslim Americans, man. Black Muslims, man. We don't have a voice. We don't have advocacy. Okay? There's a lot of reasons for it, but it's like stuff that can be explained. But damn, this is why imams need support. It's not that we don't have any idea about what's going on or solutions. It's just that we are conveniently left out of any serious funding cycle. Like, no. They trained us, man. We would rather see a rapper have money to put his message out to see any man put his message out. So, man, there's competition. I'm dealing with truth. So it does cut through, but we need to reach more people. Okay? So going back again. Given the condition, every black Muslim or liberal Muslim do-gooder intellectual in America, or at least a big chunk of them, should be saying, hey, you know what? That's a damn point. This is a crisis. This is a crisis, a multi-dimensional crisis of civilizational proportion. Look, there's no generational continuity. You're having fatherless homes like that. You're at 70%. So you're having this funnel to prison, funnel to dysfunction, divorce. And we're already at the economic bottom. All that is going on. And we got this big thing called Islam. So, but you don't think this stuff needs to be studied? You don't think we should have places we can call, you know, Islamic? Yeah, this is Monster Without Borders. Can I help? Yeah, what's going on with the black thing? Okay, we'll break it down to you. This is going on over here. And these are some of the trends that we have found over here. We're studying that. And we finally found another area of post-traumatic or post-conversion stress syndrome. There's some trauma that we're finding trauma all over the place. We're on it. We need your support. No, we got no place you can call. So, man, this stuff is deep. But you know what? SubhanAllah. Man, I'm going to tell you. I feel so much better when I just say it. Even I know it caused me problems. You know what I'm saying? Shit people don't want to hear. But listen. Man, it's hard. It's difficult. It's a difficult situation. But going back to one of my points is that knowing this, we should be like, wait, whoa, everybody, stop the presses, man. Black American Muslim convert community is on the verge of civilizational dissolvement. We don't even have a proper name for that group. All we know is they descendants of slaves, they black, and we just throw them into the pot of Islam, not Muslim brothers just like us. But none of y'all issues take priority. Matter of fact, y'all ain't got no issues. And we don't want to hear what you're thinking about because y'all don't think. But that's why we're so slow to support think tanks like what I'm doing. Or imams who are like, you know, like, man. They even got a control on what we consider to be an imam. What's the arena of the imam? What's the conduct of the imam? What's the picture of the imam? What's the acceptable stride of the imam? Man, they got that control. When I say they, I'm saying that, listen, I'm a Muslim, I'm an American, I'm a free man, and I am free to use whatever part of Kitab and Sunnah to help forge solutions for my people and my environment, for my tribe. I have every right to use it in any way that's proper and acceptable according to, to the standards of Islamic law, Islamic action, Islamic mandate, moral mandate, social mandate. All that stuff is thrown out the window here in our reality. See, we study. They say study. That's why we'll take the scholar from way back and hey, alhamdulillah. Their job was to give a foundation, give more truth. That doesn't mean that any deeper truth can be added onto that truth or any more benefit. I mean, fiqh doesn't have an area. Well, this is the furthest that Islamic intellectual thought can go. No, Islamic intellectual thought can go as far as you can take it. And people who are a different culture, different people, we're just different people. Right? We take things different. This is America. Just like when people came here as, country, made slaves and they fought the revolution. Well, they had their own idea about things. They were still the same religions, but they had their own idea about how to run a society, about innovation, about fixing stuff. So even though we're slaves, we still from the same country. Even though we're ex-slaves, but we're still from the same country. Black Americans who convert to Islam are still from the same innovative people who innovate, who come up with solutions. But the thing for Black American Muslims is that it's a scary thing to think that, man, there may be another platform of Islamic thought and Islamic social discourse and Islamic psychology that has Western connections because it's Western people, but it has Islam fused into it. Man, there's a whole wealth of knowledge and study that we would have been embarked on had we considered Black American Muslims to be civilizationally relevant, and we don't. And that's a fact. If you don't get it now, you'll get it later. Okay? Support Moms Without Borders. Support my fundraisers because listen, man, I got so much data. I'm 60 years old. I was born and raised Muslim. 4 generations. There's 4 generations Sunni Muslim in my family. 4 generations of active Sunni Muslims till today. Doesn't make us better Muslims. Just means that there's like a connection of witnessing. Oh, we've seen this shit. When you witness a lot of stuff and you're engaged in a lot of stuff as a Muslim, as an imam, as an activist over a period of years, you see trends. You see stuff. You gather data. I just happened to have done that. It wasn't my intention. It was just as I was imam 20 years. You gather data. You look at trends. You write articles. I've written more articles about Black American convert Islam than I think any imam in America. You can go back, just Google my name, Imam Luqman Ahmed. Go to my blog. It's like 100 articles about things that are predicted that would happen now. Things I say, hey, you know what? Listen, we're on a downward spiral here. I was saying that maybe 6-7 years ago. I wrote an article. Are Black American Muslims spiraling to I forgot which word it is. Who cares? There's several articles like that. One is about are Black American Muslim converts spiraling into oblivion or arguing themselves into oblivion. I talked about how the whole thing that we don't have any set rules or borders about disputes amongst us. Like anybody can it could be a goofy argument. Like everybody's argument counts. That's bullshit too. Anybody can weigh in. You can have a project going on in Muslim and so-and-so, Missouri, so-and-so, and man, and you get 20 people on the internet weighing on, that will stop the whole joint. 20 anonymous people. It's a lot of reasons for the way that they, it's a colonial existence. So it's double-edged slavery. No matter how you listen, what I would say is the truth. That's another thing. I don't like having conversations with people who don't understand basic stuff. If you don't understand the socioeconomic disadvantage of black Americans in this country, the historical disadvantages and how deep it goes, if you don't have an inkling about that, then you're lying. You can't be educated. They teach it everywhere. So knowing that, and knowing you have, okay, you got these, in this group are Muslims. A lot of them. Pioneers of Islam in America. Okay? So there has to be some discussion about, okay, all right, let's look at the way Islam has been worked into y'all system. Okay, there's some issues, some kinks. Okay, but it's not for nobody else to look at that. It's for us to look at it. That's what I'm saying. Knowing the condition, so we should be like, man, this is like an emergency. That's why Muslims be losing their mind, because they want to be doing something. A lot of Muslim brothers feel like, because they know, hey, I'm Muslim, man, I'm a soldier, man. What are you doing? Nothing, just sit and take it up there. No, so that's what we doing. Because we know, okay, what is being a Sufi going to do for this neighborhood, man? Stop that. That's not down Sufism. Man, just miss me with that. Ain't that stuff sacred? Allah is sacred. His book is sacred. Ain't nobody's ism sacred around this joint. So we're drowning. Okay, so I feel better. Okay, this is I'm thinking it's gonna post this if I can, inshallah. Because it's hard to, this is like a no-brainer. So you ask yourself, wait a minute, why are we paralyzed? Are we under a spell? Is it a curse? Magic? And there are arguments for the last two. Look in Kitab and Sunnah, look at the things that people will do that will cause them to be cursed, and see what of that do we do. Look at the effects of intoxicants. You got the Muslims selling us the intoxicants, and we being bombarded with intoxicants, a reason to be intoxicated. You say your head. All depends what drugs they make legal. Classify you in that way. I'm just saying. This is, like for example, the big thing with African American Muslims, or African Americans are the family, right? So, all right. Now, that's affected us. But now, suppose, we way late getting in the game, but I'm saying, suppose we started to teach the idea of the tribe, of the clan, of the Qabila. That we look at the family differently. Because the way that we look at the family in Black America now, it's not really like, it's like fucked up in a lot of ways. Don't ask me to go into that right now, because that's not what this video is about. But I'm saying, say if you took Islamic principles, I'm just saying, and you started to implement teaching method that's including the Islamic principles of family, where you start to look at yourself as a member of a tribe, of a clan, of a family, a generational. So it's a generational thing. Like I teach my kids, like just like in the verse. كنتم شهداء إذ حضر يعقوب الموت فقال لبنيه ماذا تعبدون من بعدي. He says, or were you present when death came to Jacob, and he said to his children, what are you going to worship after me? I said, we're going to worship your Lord, the Lord of your forefathers. So I'm just saying that, that's a part of Islam. It's part of the Islamic system of family. So that's one thing. Now, would that happen overnight? No. Anything we do now is not going to be overnight. Man, no, man. No. Man, my belief is that Black American Muslims basically have been scheduled for extinction as a part of the Muslim American demographic. If it's not intentional, that's definitely where it's headed. by any stretch of the imagination. You look at the number of converts. Converts is at a standstill. You look at the number of, look at the percentage of Black American Muslim children that go on to be Muslim themselves. Okay, that's very, very low. We're not even keeping track because there's so many marriages, divorces, and lost kids. Like, we don't even know who's related to who. So you put together a tribal model. Like, everybody's orphaned. Even as a people, we're orphans. There's no country, Muslim country claiming us. We may claim them. Oh, I love this son of. Hey, alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. I love this Sudan. I love Syria. Alhamdulillah, may Allah bless all those places. But none of these countries say, hey, you know what? What? What's going on over there? Who are you? I'm a Muslim, blah, 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 Gambia. Or Senegal. What you want? Send some sheikhs? No, we're sending some money, some builders. We're going to be. We got some engineers, Senegalese engineers there, and we're going to be talking to the leadership because we're going to be building an infrastructure for Islamic service. What you talk about? Bugs, sheikhs? No. We're doing something else. I mean, because that's the kind of business these countries do with regular Americans, Christians. We want to go over there, oh, please, sheikh, bless me. Christians like, listen, we're going to be building 4 orphanages. We're going to raise about, $15 million. We're going to teach you Christ. And they get the money, and they're there, man. We go over there, we get some books, we get it, oh, mashallah, alhamdulillah, man. I'm not making fun of nobody, man. Come on. A big problem is that we don't have a political side. Oh, that's a whole different thing. Now, this stuff is trying to come up in my next book, but I just want you to know. I like to make money off of books, but man, I want the people, our people, to understand the program. Oh man, because it's not that we can't explain it. Not that I can't explain it, but you need money, you need staff, you need wherewithal. Sometimes you can't, I just have to be, I don't know, I guess smart enough to kind of pay some attention. We have to fund ourselves. And people who understand, listen, they're going to be teaching Black American Muslim moral pathology and dysfunction and trauma. They're going to be teaching this stuff at universities in the next 30 years, maybe even before that. Because that is certainly a legitimate area of scholarly study on all levels. But the level is I think that there is a higher usage of text that we are not shooting for. We are letting slip between our hands. We're settling for a obsolete, a tyrannical, a colonial type of discourse theater. Like, you can't talk about this, you can talk about this, this will never get funded, this will always get funded, all that, man. And that's a shame, man. But anyway, it's all part of the marginalization. It's all part of marginalization. Okay? And so, again, bottom line, we should be, every Black Muslim intellectual should be like, you know what? Hey, this is important. This stuff matters, man. The Black American Muslim communities are headed towards extinction. Like, I'm not just saying that. There's evidence of that. There's evidence of civilizational disintegration. Now you think we don't have a voice now? Oh man. Okay. And knowing that, and knowing that we're already feeling the effects of a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that's going on in our communities. We're feeling it, man. We're going through it, man. So knowing that, knowing on the Islamic part, man, we've been kind of shortchanged, but knowing we still have the Islam, but all we got to do is declare ourselves a new civilization, man. Cut the umbilical cord, man. This is bringing something. There's no evidence that any of the immigrant groups, I mean, listen, we're going to talk about immigrants, of course, we're talking about immigrants most of life. If it wasn't for many immigrants, man, a lot of them said you wouldn't be open, man. There's good Muslims here, no doubt. But the general immigrant community and the leadership, you know, there's like no evidence that any of these tariqas, Salafi shuyukhs come over here and like made serious financial investment into the communities of the people who are their disciples in Black American America, or Black American, Black Muslim America, I don't know what to call it, in our world. So anyway, that's another thing. So listen, this is just a talk. My name is Imam Luqman Ahmed, head of Mosques Without Borders, and we're bringing a new definition for things. There's so much going on that we're uncovering that we have to create definitions. We have to create terminology, like explain stuff. Like, what do you mean by Black American moral psychology? Like, that's a whole different thing going on. But anyway, you can't do it all without, you can't do nothing without nothing. So anyway, this is kind of like a fundraising appeal, and maybe but more, I just want you to understand how serious this stuff is, man. It's like, I can't believe we have this conversation almost. Like, we didn't get that. So anyway, keep us in your da'wah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.